Hey guys, welcome to another voiceover tutorial. My name is Sakimi-chan, and this voiceover tutorial we're gonna go over composition. Now, composition is a large subject in art, and I'm pretty sure I don't have time to spend a whole week teaching you guys, so I'm just going to go over some brief points and some advice and tips. These are all the stuff that I've been taught in college in art school. So, if you are already in college and are in art school, then chances are you already went over this. But if you guys are new to this, then I hope it'll be helpful. So this was very helpful when my teacher taught me. So we're gonna go over some of these points here. So let's start. This voiceover won't be much demonstrating as much as explaining what composition is and how you can work it to your advantage and what are some of the rules and how you can break them. So let's get started. First point, basic composition. Now, if you've been in art school, chances are your teacher already taught you the rule of thirds. If not, then I'm gonna just give you guys a brief explanation. Alright, so the rule of third is when you have a canvas, a blank canvas. Now imagine dividing that canvas in third, both horizontally and vertically, to create six squares or rectangle of the same size. Now you see this this canvas. Which layer? Okay. Anyways, sorry about that. So you see that there is these lines here. Now the point is, once you divided these up, you see it creates some focal points. Now these 4 focal points are what you want to aim for when you're painting something and you want to aim to put the subject that you want your viewer to pay attention to the most around one of these areas. So let's say for example, I'm gonna draw this girl right here. So now if she's here, God, this is so bad. So right now this character is taking up these 2 focal points. Now the viewer will most likely be drawn over here first because the head is over here, and then down here if that's your other focal point. And of course you can make it so these 2 are also focal point, but try not to put the elements in all these spots because then it'll be too obvious. But pretty much you can put one element of focus on any of these spots, and these are also where if you take a look at movies, filmmakers, they tend to put their canvas around this area. Like they would have their characters around this line here. So I would resize her here. So just keep that in mind when you paint something, when you position your character or landscape. These 4 are focal points. This is why when you look at really good artists and they paint landscape, it's very rare for them to have the horizon right in the middle. They would either put it down on the rule of third or all the way up here. Anything that is not in the middle. Now a lot of artists are taught that if you put everything in the middle like this, anything that's placed in the center is not that good. But the thing is, you can make that work, even though I'll explain it later on. But just so you know, composition can work for almost anything. Anyways, that is the rule of third. Now let's give an example here. Let's say I draw a carrot here. Now my carrot is carefully placed to be around one of the focal points. So right now, my carrot will be the center of attention. When people look at it, look at this image, they will notice the carrot, but it's in a spot where people are most likely gonna look. So that is the rule of third. Now if you take a look at some of my examples, I have I took some of my my pieces. I'll use white. So let's say we want to divide this piece into 3 parts. Hold on, let me just get a good, some kind of like this, and then this here. Okay, here and here. Hold on. It's hard to tell. It's hard to divide them into third. So right now, let's say this is the rule of third for this image. Notice how the first thing that your eyes will probably be drawn to, if we zoom out, is probably the eyes, right? Now I know that the color helps with the focus on the eyes, but as well as the rule of third, if you look at it, her head is around these 2 focal points right here. So this is like a good place to put whatever you want your viewer to focus on. So I kind of put her head there. And of course her necklace is on the second line of third, and these 2 are the focal points. It doesn't really matter. You don't necessarily have to put the element exactly on the focal point. It helps, but as long as it's close to the focal point, or just like the focus line here, it's good. So kind of just pointing it out. Also, if we apply the rule of third to this painting, let me just divide that up. Something like this, and then, oh, hold on. So let's say this is the rule of third. If we divide this up, immediately you can see this character. Her face is very close to one of the focal points. Again, these 4 focal points. Now this character is pretty much on this line of the grid. It's got 2 focal points, and she's on the other one. So yep, just wanted to point that out for you guys. When you think of composition, you can definitely use the rule of thirds. Just divide your canvas up 3 times and then start sketching. Like for example, we have this carrot. What if a character is holding this carrot now? Something like this. So even if I have the arm, the carrot will be on the focal point. His arm might be on one of the focal point, but the carrot is the one thing that is completely on the focal point. And then for this character here, let's do a quick background. So let's say she's got like mountain background. Sorry, she's got mountains. What? She's got a background with mountains in the background. I repeated myself. Anyway, so you can also make your background kind of overlap on the focal point as well. Let's say that there's a little mountain protruding right on top of this focal point, right? And then of course, let's just do a quick shade over. Now this would be like a thumbnail or a silhouette. So silhouettes are great, but now we're gonna talk about composition. So I'm using quick silhouettes to show you guys examples. Alright, so that's rule of third. Now there's other rules. Okay, so there's another rule that's slightly more complicated that our teacher taught us, but I never really used. Now I took this image out of Google search by googling golden rule. So golden rule is this swirl seashell kind of shape, right? and it's divided up in this type of proportions. Now the thing is, what this one does is, you see where it's the most concentrated in detail, this part is usually the focal point, this part, and then the rest of this is consists of flow, how your image flow towards this area. I don't really know if this is a good example. Like I took one of my other original pieces and I wanted to see if this rule can apply to her. But anyways, this rule is a little bit more complicated. I usually don't stick with this. A rule of third is really easy to work with, so usually I like just using rule of third, but if you paint enough and you understand composition enough, it'll just come naturally. So let me just see if that works. But you guys notice how the detailed area is always left on top, on the top half, not in the middle, on top or below, and to the side, so it will never be completely in the center. Now that doesn't mean center is bad, and I will show you guys what I mean. So if we kind of overlap this guy to this image, you can see that clearly the focal point is her wolf armor plate. So yeah, it's kind of funny, but at the same time I think it kind of works. But I usually don't stick too much with the golden rule, but you can definitely work up a composition where this rule applies more. Now I'm just gonna show you guys an example here. So let's say this is my canvas. Alright, so let's see now. Okay, so I'm trying to think of something. Let's say, okay, it's kind of difficult. You can definitely be literal about it. Like, what if I drew like this angel? Her face is right on top of the focal point, and then she's going to be curled up. See, now I'm being really literal about it. So now I'm very much following the golden rule, and definitely following the golden rule. So this is more of a literal follow-up of the golden rule with this swirl looking a seashell composition. So again, the focal point, I want her face to be noticed first, and put it smack down on top of the focal point right here, and then kind of follow up with the flow. So the thing is, you see how much detail it is towards the center. Now this area needs to be more detailed than all of this area. So this rule is actually, I forgot to bring it up, but this rule is that this area will be more concentrated in detail than this area. See how each section is sectioned off? Now this area, since it's got like almost no lines, that means almost no extra detail, this area will be more simplistic, and then this area will be more concentrated in detail. And this is what my teacher also taught me, well, brought it up in school, but I guess it doesn't necessarily need to be that way. But yeah, definitely this area will be the focal point, and that is the golden rule. Hopefully it's not too complicated for you guys. You guys can definitely like just grab an image of this from Google and just overlay it on top of your sketch, and then try to kind of change the position up a little bit. Okie dokie. So that's the golden rule. Now I'm getting to symmetrical composition versus asymmetrical. Sorry guys, I think I made a mistake in my words. Okay, we're still here. So symmetrical versus asymmetrical. Technically you can definitely make your image symmetrical, but keep in mind your main character can be symmetrical, but sometimes just like maybe tilt this slightly just to break it up a little bit. As you can see, this piece is one of my most symmetrical pieces. If I just draw a line in the center, now she's almost symmetrical, but there's two elements that is not, well, almost not. One is bottom view, one is up there, and also her tail is here, so that kind of breaks it up. But this character is still pretty much mostly symmetrical, other than her seashell, tail, and these two fishes. So it's definitely possible to be symmetrical with your composition. Just make sure to tweak it a bit to help with the composition, to not make it perfectly symmetrical, because nothing is perfect, and sometimes if you do perfect symmetry in your composition, it might look strange, or how do you say it, in the uncanny valley almost. Like a perfect CGI human will look uncanny, or those weird cyborg, Japanese robots, some of them look like their features might look a little too symmetrical. That's why it might look uncanny. You guys know what I mean. So that is symmetry composition. Now we have this piece here. She's completely different from symmetry. She is smack right on the side here, and of course her hand is probably actually her head is closer to the rule of third line right here. So now if I do the rule of third, which I think I messed up a little bit, but it's pretty much like this. So focal point, focal point, focal point, focal point. So as you notice, she's around the edge of the canvas, right on the edge. If she were to be in the center, it might also work because she's not facing forward and she's not symmetrical. But asymmetry composition, in my opinion, is maybe easier to work with because you don't need to balance it out as much. You can focus on one area where is the focal point, and then break down the detail into the other areas. Now keep in mind not to put important focal points in the center for asymmetrical composition. So if you notice here, her silhouette and her wing is kind of like, not a lot of it is in the center, maybe only this wing, but you don't really notice it as much. So definitely rule of third. Also asymmetrical composition, always keep your character a little bit in the corner, around this area, pretty much this area. And then if you have one character here, you want to make them the focus. Now just make her a little more detailed, and then fade the detail off into the other focal points, like that. So that is asymmetrical. Now this piece it's an old piece, it's a grayscale sketch, but as you can see, it's unfinished, but they are kind of separated at the middle, as you can see, though their head is towards towards the upper area, so it's fine. Now this is not exactly symmetrical, but they do kind of break off around the mid area. So for myself, I would think this is a symmetrical, well, not symmetrical, but almost, except your character meet at the center, which is necessarily not a bad thing, as long as you can balance it out with asymmetry. So yeah, as long as they're not the same character and doing the same action and have the same outfit, it's all good. So that is that. Hopefully you guys understood what I was talking about, but just in case, we will do a quick overview. So let's say I want to do a symmetrical composition with my rabbit here. Let's draw the rabbit. So my rabbit is completely in the center. Now if I do it like this, if I put the ground or horizontal line of, I kind of forgot the English term for this, but the horizon line, anyways, if I put a line in the middle here, it might work. You know why? Because my rabbit's head is poking out from this line, so it works. But it would be better if the floor is again around the rule of third, right? Like towards the bottom and not exactly in the center. So this can also work, and it might be better. Or you can put the line here, but never ever put the line where the edge of the ear, because this is right here is considered a tangent. I actually didn't know about this until my friend that studies 2D animation brought it up, because I had some of this in my older works, and he said that, yeah, tangents is when two line and a shape meet at the tip, right? This is bad because it makes the image look flatter. So never do this, and never have your characters, whatever element like a pinky, be on the very edge, like touching the edge of the canvas, because that is also a tangent. And yeah, so for now we're gonna just put the floor right here. So again, still kind of symmetrical composition, but as you can see, his tail or her tail is right on one side, so that breaks it up a little bit. Now what if I made him hold a flag? Now that also breaks it up a little bit. So yeah, I mean, it's not the best composition, but you can still roll with it. And maybe I wanna like break it up even further by maybe giving him some wings. Okay, and then maybe put some butterflies around the place. Oops, it's kind of even number. So usually we try to make sure the butterflies don't or any particle background elements should never be kind of like on the same line, like horizontally or vertically. I know it might be weird, but it's really hard to kick the habit of trying to place elements in order, because the human brain does that automatically, so you gotta break it up. I usually try to just imagine a triangle here, like a crooked triangle that goes in the distance, so something like this. Again, this is the rule of third, kinda. So as you can see, 3 triangles right now. And then let's say there's grass. So we can put a bit of grass everywhere. And again, this character is still at the center. And then we're gonna give this character a little, oh god, okay fine, crown here. Now what really helps is flipping your image back and forth, flip horizontally and vertically. That way you can really see if it works. Sometimes it will help you refresh your mind and then give you more ideas. So yeah. Anyways, that would be something I would do if it was a center symmetrical composition, well almost symmetrical, if the character was placed in the middle. If the character is in the middle, make sure that the elements around the character is kind of not in the middle, as in the center axis of the canvas. It should always be a little bit on the side, like the grass here is toward the corner, bottom corner, and then my hearts here is also around the corner axis, right? Not in the center axis. So those are things to keep in mind when you paint something or draw something or sketch something out. So that is symmetrical composition. Kinda. It's not exactly, but kinda. So that is symmetrical composition. Now let's do asymmetrical. So this is the center. Let's place my character all the way on the side. Now if I were to follow the rule of third, oops, I will put my character here. So let's have my characters here kind of go off into the canvas. So this rabbit's face is right on this focal point, well kinda. It's got a bow here. And then we're going to make this character do weird action here. So again, most of the elements is not completely in the center. I'm doing like a horizontal thing, vertical thing, this focal point to this focal point. So let's say for some reason I want people to focus on his leg as well. So how would I do that? I will place a star right on the focal point, and I'm sure the people, well, the viewers will notice the star right away, as well as the face. And of course the cape fluttering. Again, the cape is around the area that is not in the center, as long as it's not in the center. And plus it crosses over here onto the side, which is good. So this would be asymmetrical. To the side. Always keep in mind no tangents, which is connecting lines like this or like this. Lines and shapes, that is a tangent. And that is bad. And yeah, that's pretty much it for asymmetry. Let's do one more with two characters. Let's say, again, let's apply the rule of third because it's easy to use. So this time, let's go for a character that has hair in the wind. And then another character here. And this little boy here. So, as you've noticed, the taller character focal point is around this area, and then the kid focal point is on this area. Notice that I did not put the kid here. Well, you could do that, but I feel as if it would be more dynamic if they were kinda in a vertical way, kinda aligned vertically, while their focal points, which is their head, on these focal points. So kinda like diagonal thing going on. I feel that is more dynamic. So you can also contrast that. Let's say there is a big ass sun or moon that goes like this right here. See, now this planet here, it takes up almost, well, not, I guess half of it, but it is around the corners once again, and there is space down here, but it's not taking half of the space, it's taking 2/3 of the canvas space. So as long as it's not in the middle, I'm just going to shade this out so you guys can see it better. So now if we zoom out, first you'll probably see this character because this round shape right here frames her nicely. And then you'll probably see the boy. So your eyes will go from this character to that character. So yeah, hope this is helpful for you guys when you decide to paint something with a background. This can be very useful. So now I'm gonna talk about background composition. It's pretty much the same thing actually. Rule of third always applies. It's just more detailed, I guess. Now let's talk about background composition. For this part, I wanted to show you guys a couple of ways to kind of balance out, focus on character, make your background composition around your character. Okie dokie. Let's see what we can do here. Okay. Let's say I have a character here. Okay, I'm gonna follow the rule of third because it's the easiest one to follow, and you can actually create a grid real fast by yourself. Now I'm holding down shift as I draw the line down to make it super straight. So let's say my character is here. And she has long hair now. And she's in this kind of pose. She's kinda in the center actually, but not really. Actually, she is. I should move her a little bit. Gonna move her to the side a bit. And have her hold a cup of coffee. because she's a modern elf, even though she's an elf. I'm going to color the vest real fast. And then the thumbnail, the coffee. So let's say this is my character. Now she's in a big canvas. Usually, maybe I make the character a little bigger, but let's say that is the size I want my character to be. Now, what do we start? It's kind of simple because we have nothing around her really. And I guess this could work, but if you're like me, and I like to be complicated sometimes, which is not always a good thing. Let's find ways to kind of put some other elements in the background. First thing, you want to try to put shapes that's going to frame your character well. One of the easier things that I usually use is curtains. Now curtains can be flexible, at the same time it can just be straight because physics. So let's say I want to have a curtain that frames her. Where would I start? I would want to start by making the curtain kind of swoosh down and go right through the back of her head, like just go like this pretty much. And let's say we would put the curtain here. Now this curtain, it's connected to her head, which kind of frames the back of her head a bit. So now your viewers will definitely focus on her head even more now, even though you don't need you don't need to put that much effort into framing the head, but just an example for you guys. Let's say she has 2 pairs of ears, I don't know. You see right here, I did that unconsciously, but this ear is actually tangent to this line, which is not a good thing. So, just going to move her ear down a little bit so it's not connecting with this line here, which is the curtain. So, it goes down like this. Usually when you try to put elements, I usually try to make it not be perfectly straight like this. But perfectly straight doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but in this case, since a character is not really symmetrical or straight, I want to lean towards more of a organic kind of curve shape and not straight. So my advice would be, well, I myself like to paint pictures where there's almost no straight lines to it. So yeah, and then we can also maybe put a bit of smoke here. The smoke kind of takes up this part of the canvas as well. And then let's see now, maybe another curtain. So this one will be kind of smaller. And again, I kind of made it so it's on the side. So it's not perfectly in the middle. I like to kind of paint my composition elements in my background to be towards the side and in uneven numbers. So I shaded that up for you guys. Now what do we do? Let's see what else we can do. So that would be something simple for framing the character with elements of the background. Let's see what else. Let's say for example, there's butterflies. I use butterflies way too much. Again, we're gonna try to make 3 butterflies, always in uneven numbers. 1 here, 1 there, and 1 at the bottom. So they are kind of going in a triangle motion here. Now I feel this area is still a little empty, so let's just do kind of like a curve here. I'm not sure what I'm going with this curve and what it might be. Oh, I know. What if it's a super small door frame or something? Or just like a frame of some sort. So something like this. And then this frame right here can also help frame the character because it's going towards the character, it's pointing towards the character. So that will also help the viewers, the eyes of the viewers going towards the character. So after this, I'm just going to kind of make this brighter, doing a quick shade here. So something like this. So keep in mind the rule of third. Always try to not be in the center unless you're going for symmetrical composition. In my opinion, it might be a little flat, but it's doable. Something that's casual, sorry. I was looking at this picture, I was like, it feels casual, so the word casual came out of my mouth. Anyway, something asymmetrical, definitely go towards something like this, where you want to kind of frame the characters with lines that are not perfectly straight. I like lines that curve. I like organic lines. That's why I showed you guys this example. So that is one example. I'm not very good at this, but I will try to show you guys a composition that is more landscape focused. I briefly worked on a bit of landscape while I was working full-time as a concept artist, but I am definitely not the best. Like, every time I look at my, I would call them senpais, I guess. They were my coach, and they had, like, the other two concept artists that I work with, they guided me pretty much. They taught me landscape rules and design rules, but their stuff is so much better, man. Anyways, let's go with landscape. Now, landscape, I wouldn't be the expert on it, but I will kind of see what I can do here. First of all, when you do landscape painting or landscape concepts, you would go with shapes, right? Shapes. Just for the sake of showing you guys again, convincing you guys that the rule of third is the easiest to apply. Actually, I need to, here and here. Okay, so this is the rule of third. We're gonna use it again, sorta. So first of all, let's create. Now in landscape painting, there is foreground, background, and midground. First, I think this would be midground. Let's say this is midground. Now, landscape, the most complicated part I found of painting landscape is trying to paint small details versus bigger shapes, small shapes versus bigger shapes, sorry. I'm definitely not the best to this, but my senpais taught me well. And I guess I know a little bit more about landscape than I did before when I was still in school. So first, gonna do a close-up foreground. The foreground will be the darkest, and then I think I will make it a little darker. Again, as you've noticed, I'm sticking very close to the corner, nothing in the middle yet. Now for the midground is the second darkest. Okay, let's say there's a big ass, oops, sorry. There is a very big rock right here. I don't know, some enormous structure. or shape. So I'm placing it there because again it's not in the center, it's off to the side near this area right here. My focal point is right here. Still works out, right? Now, right now I feel as if it's a little too straight, so I'm just gonna give it a bit of variation here as well as here. So making it a bit more organic, because in nature you don't find a lot of symmetry. Everything is organic looking, and that's what I'm going for. So this is one of my shapes. I'll make another shape down here. So this is my other shape. Again, I'm sticking to my focal point or near it. And then I'm gonna have other small little details here and there. And maybe some on the side as well. Just have to keep in mind to not have it straight, because straight is, I mean, there could be some interesting straight rocks in nature, but this composition right now where it's going, it doesn't look like straight rocks will work very well for it, so I'm not gonna go for straight rocks or shapes. I'm just gonna stick with organic looking one. So this is my mid ground. I'm just going to make it slightly darker. Okay, see how everything haven't even crossed this line right here, one of the focal lines of rule of third. Now I'm gonna get some background now. My background will be the third darkest for the silhouette. So for the background right now, it's very heavy on this side, and that's fine because we can make this weird looking rock the focus. But let's see if I can, hold on, make it slightly darker. Let's see if we can kind of balance it out over here by adding some more details on this side and having the rock tilt this way. And then again, just making these weird shapes. Okay, it's weird. Maybe some lines here. Very tiny lines. Okay. So foreground, midground, background. Then we have the sky, which is, I guess, background. And remember I said I wanted to make this rock the focal point. How will we do that? I'm gonna do the same thing. Gonna create, oops. Let's say there's the sun is right there, kinda framing this rock conveniently. And then maybe we would have some clouds here on the upper side, and of course maybe a thin layer of mist covering the bottom ominously like this. And maybe we would have really tiny birds. So this round thing is there to frame this rock right here. That will be the focus. But that doesn't mean over here can't have a secondary focal point, because that's where I'm gonna put my character. It's gonna be very tiny, but my character is going to be standing on this rock right here. On this side, I've never been good at drawing tiny characters, to be honest. But let's say I have a character here and then a character here. I don't know what's happening, but just some silhouetting. Let's say that those are my two characters. They look very bad, but the point is to show you guys what I mean very fast. And you guys are the one that's going to put these information into practice. Okay, I'm going to just make sure my character is kinda, yeah, that color. So that's one of my characters. Now I can have another character, and guess where I'm gonna put this character? Gonna put this character right here. So this character is gonna have like a cape or something. And he's gonna be holding, I don't know, a gun or something. A sword or something. I guess the head should be smaller, because this is why I always fail at silhouettes. I always make the head too big. I'm gonna make this character smaller. So, oh my god, the leg is weird. I'm putting this character near the focal point. It's a safe bet, really, it really is. It's a very safe bet. So this is my secondary character. I wish the cape was better looking. Maybe something like this. So that is my second character. So yeah, this is how I would go about doing landscape compositions, following the rule of third, keeping in mind not to put stuff in the center, and if it is, make sure it's balanced out, even though symmetrical composition is a little flat. That's why most artists say it's wrong or it's not good, but you can still do it. It's just it won't feel dynamic. But if you want to pursue more of a fine artsy type of deal, then definitely maybe symmetrical would be good. You can definitely make it work. I would not see symmetrical composition for game character splashes like for Riot Games. No way, man. Symmetrical composition would be pretty boring because their champions are dynamic and awesome, so they usually tend to put stuff on the side like this kind of deal. Asymmetrical composition. So that's that. And last but not least, just wanna again background composition, some examples again with some of my original work. This one is pretty self-explanatory. I'll give you guys a bit of time to tell me what I'm gonna tell you about what I'm gonna say, how it's framed, how I frame the character here. I'll give you guys 5 seconds, okay? Okay guys, have you guessed what I was gonna say? How I frame the character in these two pieces? If you said that the fishes frame the character, you'd be right. If you say the water ripples frame the character, you'd be also right. So in this piece, I used a circular motion created by elements of the background, the fish, the ripples of the water, even the tail. All these elements frame the character inside one snug circular motion, and that is how I framed it. And again, her head is towards the upper area, not in the middle. And the fishes are towards the upper areas as well, the tail as well. So I framed it using the fish and ripples and tail. Okay, alright. Now let's look at this piece. It's a pretty old piece, but as you've guessed it, I used the arcs, the antlers on the back of her as a way to frame my character. And then I suppose the shadow here also kind of frames it, but mainly the antlers frame this character. So that's pretty much it, guys, and that was I would say a quick overview of composition. Composition is very detailed and very complex. I think I've just scratched a little bit of the surface for you guys. So, but it's still useful information. Like before, I didn't know about this, and then my teachers told me about it. Also, my co-workers that guided me through this. Then my knowledge for this really helped with some of my paintings. Like after I knew this, I was like, oh, that's why my old stuff felt off, because stuff were in the middle or stuff was flat or there were tangents. So yeah, very useful information. Now I'm just going to go over it one more time for you guys, just do a quick recap like I always do. Alright, starting from the rule of third, which I've been talking about this whole tutorial, dividing the canvas in 9 different pieces with 2 lines, separating them into 9 separate squares or rectangles. Now, the focal points could be found on these 4 dots, and usually we try to aim to put elements or the main character on one of these focal points or lines or areas, and then also as well as your secondary element too. So a quick example, her head is right on top of the focal point, and this carrot is definitely right on top of the focal point. And notice how my arm here, it does not end in the middle. It extends downwards towards the end here. The point is, with basic composition, rule of third, you don't want to put stuff in the middle. Middle is taboo. Well, not taboo, but frowned upon pretty much. So try to avoid the middle in any possible way. Okay, so this piece, focal point, her head is on the line. Again, not in the middle, and her necklace is on the second focal point line. Of course, her face, her eyes kinda in the middle, but it works because not everything is in the middle, so it's technically it kind of works. Alright, so now this one, focal points. All these 2 characters kind of meet up at the focal point, so that works. Alright, now let's talk about the golden rule. It's kind of complicated. Again, overview. Use this weird looking seashell shape to kind of overlap with your image, and you can use it. Draw it in its motion, or at least put the most detail in this area and the least detail on this area. Again, example, this angel girl right here, her face is right on top of the focal point, and then her body kind of goes in a motion. The curve like goes with the flow of the seashell looking shape here. Now, symmetrical composition. It's not really ideal for anything dynamic. This piece right here is not completely symmetrical. It is, however, I would lean towards the fine artsy side of things, which symmetrical can work well. So again, she's in the middle, but I break her off with fishes and her tail. Asymmetrical is easier. Again, using the rule of third, nothing is in the center here, and all the focus points are are in the right place with the character, like her face is on the focus point, sorry. And for here, it's the same thing. Even though they kind of divide towards the middle, these two characters are different, and there is enough elements from both sides to make it asymmetrical. Okay, these are just some silly sketches, just some quick examples for you guys. As you can see, this rabbit is right in the center, symmetrical, but we have some elements that kind of break that off a little bit, and that's what we want. And of course, asymmetrical, again, rule of third, keeping my character towards the focus point, and then making a more dynamic flow by going vertical instead of straight. So always vertical and curved lines are better than straight lines if you're aiming for dynamic. And again, I put a star here because I know this is a focal point, and pretty sure people are going to look at this. Your viewers' eye will be drawn to this, so use the focus point to your advantage, guys. And the last but not least, two characters, very simple. They are standing straight, but notice how one of them is on one focus point up, and then the other one is on the other focus point that is down. So it creates a diagonal flow to it. Like, you would notice her first because of the shape in the background, framing her nicely, and then once you look at her, your eyes will be drawn to the secondary character because it's going diagonally, like the flow of it. And then of course the focus points, your eye will naturally be drawn to it. So that's that. And yeah, I did two very simple sketches using rule of third. Again, this character with some background elements that frame her, and again, nothing is in the middle and everything is in, well, and the butterflies are in threes. Okay, so that's that. And for the background, again, same idea, nothing in the middle, and of course using the moon to frame this rocket right here. I know it might look dirty. I think I should change the shape of it, but anyways, let's not think about that. Now that I brought it up, why did I? Kind of looks like a dragon head, I guess. God damn it, why do I have such a dirty mind? Anyways, let's just, yeah. So again, this rock is kind of facing towards the moon, and again, it's closer to the focus point, focus point, sorry. It's not in the center, so it helps. And also we have a character here which is also kind of in the focus point, and the secondary character in the background, in the midground, right on top of the focus point. Man, I've been saying focus point for, I guess, a lot in this tutorial. Sorry for being repetitive, guys, but I really want to drill that focus point into you guys. Kind of sounds dirty, but I want you guys to just like hear it in your sleep and have nightmares about it, because I keep saying it, but this is how you remember. Again, for this piece, it's framed by fishies, and as well as her tail in a circular motion, and also this piece as well. Her antler wings kind of frame her nicely. She is kind of in the center, but as you can see, her head is kind of not in the center. She's not exactly looking at us. She's looking at something else, so it kind of it offers a bit of asymmetry. And as you notice, there's like 3 butterflies. Again, I like to make them in pairs of 3s, so yeah. Alright, so that's a quick recap for you guys. Hope you guys find this useful. Again, rule of third is pretty simple. You just have to use it a lot to kind of get used to it. Again, the main thing is not to have your main focus element in the center. As long as it's not in the center, it should be fine. Alright guys, so that's it. See you guys in the next voiceover tutorial. Take care guys.